Welcome back to Everyday English Podcast, where we help you navigate life's tricky moments in English. Today, we are not just learning grammar, we are learning the art of saving your professional reputation when technology betrays you. Picture this. It is 4:55 p.m. Your boss walks to your desk for the final report. You open the folder, and the file is gone. Just an error message. Your stomach drops. Your face gets hot. You look up at her.
I've been there. I once told a manager I deleted it by mistake because I was so panicked. He never trusted me with data again. I wish I had known how to frame it differently.
In this episode, we will give you 3 exact phrases to shift the blame to the computer so you keep your job and your dignity.
It really is a terrible feeling, Sarah. We rely so much on our computers and our phones to do our jobs. When they break, it feels like we broke.
Exactly, and that is the problem. When a computer crashes or a file disappears, we often feel guilty. We feel like it is our fault. And because we feel guilty, we use language that admits guilt.
Like when I said I deleted it.
Right. When you say, I deleted it, you are using the active voice. You are the subject. You are the actor. You are saying, I am the person who caused this problem.
And in a professional setting, that sounds like I'm incompetent. It sounds like I'm not good at my job.
But the truth is, technology fails all the time. Sometimes files get corrupted. Sometimes software crashes. It is not always your fault.
So how do we explain that without sounding like we are making excuses?
We have to change our grammar. We have to move from the active voice to the passive voice, or what I like to call the diplomatic passive.
The diplomatic passive. I like the sound of that. It sounds very official.
It is a lifesaver. Let's look at the difference. In the active voice, you say, I lost the file. Who lost it?
I did.
Right. Now, in the passive voice, you say, the file was lost. Who lost it?
We don't know. It's a mystery.
Exactly. By removing I from the sentence, you remove the blame from yourself. You turn a personal mistake into an unfortunate event that happened to you.
That is a very subtle shift, but it changes everything. The file was lost sounds like an accident. I lost the file sounds like negligence.
Let's practice this with a few common tech disasters. Tom, imagine you are working on a presentation and you accidentally close it without saving. What do you want to say initially?
My instinct is to say I didn't save the changes.
Okay, stop right there. I didn't save. That's active. That's you failing to do a task. How can we make that passive?
Maybe the changes were not saved?
Perfect. I'm afraid the changes were not saved. Do you hear the difference?
Yes, it sounds like the computer decided not to save them. It sounds like a technical glitch, not a memory lapse.
Let's try another one. Imagine you are trying to send an email, but you press the wrong button and it sends a draft, not the final version.
Oh, I have done this. I usually write a follow-up email saying, I sent the wrong attachment, sorry.
And that's honest, but it makes you look a bit scattered. Try to shift the focus to the file.
Okay, how about the incorrect file was attached?
That's good. Or even better, you can blame the system directly using an intransitive verb. You can say, it seems the wrong version got attached.
Got attached. That is very useful. It sounds like the file jumped into the email by itself.
Exactly. We call this shifting the agent. The agent is the person doing the action. When things go wrong with technology, you want to remove the agent. You want the computer to be the bad guy, not you.
This reminds me of when my internet goes down during a Zoom call. I usually say, I have bad internet.
That's a common phrase, but think about what it implies. I have bad internet sounds like a permanent condition. It sounds like you are unprepared.
That is true. It sounds like I didn't bother to get a good connection.
Instead, try saying, the connection is unstable.
The connection is unstable. That puts the problem on the network, not on me.
Precisely. Or, the signal dropped out.
Dropped out. That is a great phrasal verb for this. It implies a sudden, unexpected failure.
So, the first rule of protecting your reputation is remove I from the sentence. Make the technology the subject of your sentence. The program crashed. The screen froze. The file corrupted.
Corrupted is a great word. It sounds very serious and technical.
It is. If you say, I broke the file, you sound clumsy. If you say, the file is corrupted, you sound like a victim of a cybercrime.
And bosses are usually sympathetic to victims. They get frustrated with clumsy people, but they understand that computers have minds of their own.
Now, simply changing the grammar is the first step, but you cannot just walk up to your boss and say, "The file is corrupted," and walk away.
No, that would be too blunt. It sounds a bit robotic.
We need to use softeners. These are words or short phrases that prepare the listener for bad news. They act like a cushion.
Like a warning signal that says, hey, don't get mad, but something bad happened.
Exactly. The most common one is unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it is simple but powerful.
Let's hear the difference. Tom, tell me the file is gone without a softener.
The file is gone.
Ouch, that was harsh. I feel immediate panic. Now try it with the softener.
Unfortunately, the file is gone.
That is much better. It shows empathy. It shows that you wish the result were different.
It aligns me with the boss. It is like saying, we are both unlucky today.
Another great softener is "it turns out that."
It turns out that. When do we use this one?
We use this when the problem is surprising or unexpected. It implies that you have investigated the issue and this is the result.
So if I tried to open the document and it didn't work, I could say, it turns out that the file is corrupted.
Yes, it sounds like you did your due diligence. You checked, and this is the discovery. It sounds professional.
What about I'm afraid? I hear that a lot in British English.
Yes, "I'm afraid" is very polite. It doesn't mean you are actually scared. It is just a polite way of saying, "I am sorry to tell you."
So I'm afraid the program has crashed.
Perfect. It is soft, polite, and professional.
Sarah, I have a question. Sometimes the problem isn't that the file is gone. Sometimes the computer is just acting weird, like it is slow, or the colors are wrong, or it is making a noise. How do we describe that?
That is a great point. You need specific vocabulary for glitchy behavior. You cannot just say, "it is weird."
It is acting up. Is that okay?
"It is acting up" is good for casual conversation, maybe with a colleague. But with a boss, you want to be more specific.
Okay, give me some professional words for weird.
One of my favorites is non-responsive.
Non-responsive. That sounds very technical.
It means you are clicking, but nothing is happening. Instead of saying, "I am clicking, but it won't work," you say, "the application is non-responsive."
That sounds like a diagnosis from a doctor. The patient is non-responsive.
It effectively communicates that you are trying to work, but the software is refusing to cooperate.
What about when there is a delay, like when you type and the letters appear 3 seconds later?
We call that lag. You can say, "I am experiencing some significant lag."
Lag. That is a short word, but very annoying.
Another useful phrase is syncing error.
Syncing error. That is when your computer doesn't match the server, right?
Exactly. This is the perfect excuse for when work is missing from a shared folder. You didn't forget to upload it. Oh no, you experienced a syncing error.
I uploaded it, but there must have been a syncing error. That is brilliant. It makes it sound like the internet simply lost the packet of data on the way.
And honestly, Tom, that happens all the time. We are just giving you the language to describe it accurately without taking the blame.
This is really helpful. I feel like I am building a shield of grammar and vocabulary to protect me from angry bosses.
That is the goal. And speaking of protecting yourself, if you want to build a shield against all kinds of awkward English situations, at work, at the store, or in relationships, make sure you are subscribed to Everyday English Podcast. We release episodes like this every week to help you sound natural and confident. If you hit the bell icon, you won't miss our next lesson on handling difficult questions in job interviews.
Okay, Sarah, we have the passive voice, we have the softeners, we have the technical vocabulary. Is that enough?
Not quite. There is one final piece to the puzzle. If you only present the problem, you are still just a messenger of bad news.
Right. Unfortunately, the file is corrupted. It is polite, but the boss still doesn't have the file.
Exactly. You need to pivot to the solution. You need to immediately follow the bad news with a proactive action.
So don't wait for the boss to ask, well, what are you going to do?
Precisely. You answer that question before they ask it. The formula is passive problem plus active solution.
Passive problem plus active solution. Can you give me an example?
Let's go back to the corrupted file.
Unfortunately, the file was corrupted.
Now at the active solution. What are you doing about it?
So I'm restoring the backup version right now.
Perfect. Put it together.
Unfortunately, the file was corrupted, so I am restoring the backup version right now.
That is a complete professional response. You acknowledged the issue, you deflected the blame, and you showed that you are already fixing it.
It makes me sound like a problem solver, not a problem creator.
Yes. Let's try another one. Imagine the syncing error we talked about. The boss says, "Tom, I don't see the report in the folder."
Okay, step 1, softener. It turns out that step 2, passive problem, there was a syncing error. Step 3, active solution. So I am emailing you a direct copy immediately.
Brilliant. It turns out there was a syncing error, so I am emailing you a direct copy immediately. If you say that to me, I am not angry. I am just waiting for the email.
You defuse the anger instantly.
You move the conversation from "why did you fail" to "when will I get it?" And "when will I get it" is a much easier question to answer.
I feel like we should roleplay this. Let's put it all together in a high-pressure situation.
Great idea. I will be the boss, you are the employee. Let's say we have a big meeting in 10 minutes. You are supposed to present your screen, but your laptop is acting up.
Okay, I am sweating already. My laptop is frozen.
Action. Tom, everyone is waiting in the conference room. Are you ready to present the quarterly figures?
I'm afraid my screen has frozen completely.
Well, unfreeze it. We need those numbers.
The application is non-responsive, so I am restarting the system now. It should be back online in 2 minutes.
Okay, be quick.
How was that?
That was excellent. You didn't say, "I broke it." You didn't say, "I don't know what's happening." You identified the problem, screen is frozen, non-responsive, and you gave me a solution and a timeline.
And I felt calm saying it. I had a plan.
Let's try one more. This is a scary one. You have lost data.
Oh no, the worst nightmare.
I am the manager. I come to your desk. "Tom, did you finish the client proposal? I need to send it out."
Okay, deep breath. Unfortunately, the file seems to have been corrupted during the save process.
What? Are you serious? We don't have time for this.
I know. However, I saved a draft earlier this morning, so I am updating that version now. I will have it on your desk in 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay, make it 20.
That was intense.
But notice what happened. I accepted your solution, I negotiated the time, but I accepted the premise that it was a technical failure, not your laziness.
If I had said I forgot to save it, you probably would have fired me.
Or at least shouted a lot more. The phrase "seems to have been corrupted" is very powerful. It suggests you are an observer of the tragedy, not the cause.
You know, Sarah, this reminds me of something that happened to my friend, Lisa.
What happened to Lisa?
She is a graphic designer. She was working on this huge poster for a festival, hours of work, and her cat jumped on the keyboard.
Oh no, the cat factor.
The cat hit a combination of keys that closed the program without saving.
That is a classic disaster.
Lisa had to call the client. She was terrified. She called me first to practice what to say.
What was her first draft?
She wanted to say, "My cat deleted your poster."
That is adorable, but very unprofessional.
Right? The client doesn't want to hear about your cat.
So how did you help her fix it?
We used the diplomatic passive. She ended up saying, "Unfortunately, the file was lost due to an unexpected hardware interference."
Hardware interference. That is genius. The cat is the hardware interference?
Exactly. It is technically true. The cat interfered with the hardware.
And did the client accept it?
They did. She added the active solution. I am recreating the design now and will prioritize it over my other work. The client was annoyed by the delay, but they respected her professionalism.
That is a perfect example. You don't need to lie. Lisa didn't lie. The file was lost, but she didn't need to give the embarrassing details about the cat. She kept it focused on the outcome.
It really comes down to confidence, doesn't it?
It does. When you panic, you ramble. You give too many details. Oh, I clicked this, and then this happened, and then I tried this.
And the boss is thinking, I don't care about the journey. Just tell me the destination.
Exactly. The diplomatic passive keeps it short. Problem, solution, done.
It is about controlling the narrative. You are the professional. You are in control, even when the machine is out of control.
We have covered a lot today. Let's recap the main tools in your kit.
First, the grammar. Switch from active, I lost it, to passive, it was lost.
Second, the softeners. Use unfortunately, I'm afraid, or it turns out that to cushion the blow.
Third, the vocabulary. Use words like corrupted, non-responsive, glitch, and syncing error.
And finally, the pivot. Always combine the passive problem with an active solution. It crashed, so I am restarting.
It is a simple formula, but it works.
Now, we have a challenge for you for this week. We call it the bad news sandwich.
The bad news sandwich. I am hungry, but that doesn't sound delicious.
It is a communication technique. I want you to practice this structure: softener, passive problem, active solution.
Okay, softener, passive problem, active solution.
Practice it on small things. If you drop a pen, don't say, "I dropped my pen." Say, "Unfortunately, the pen fell, so I am picking it up."
If you burn your toast,
"I'm afraid the toast was burned, so I am making a new slice."
it sounds a bit funny at home, but it trains your brain for the office.
Exactly. Try to catch yourself every time you use I to describe an accident. Stop, rewind, and rephrase it using the passive voice.
The milk was spilled. The keys were misplaced.
You've got it. If you can master this mindset, the next time your computer screen goes black 5 minutes before a deadline, you won't panic. You will know exactly what to say.
And keeping your cool is half the battle.
Thank you for joining us on Everyday English Podcast. We hope this episode saves you from at least one awkward conversation with your boss.
Remember, technology isn't perfect, and neither are we, but our English can be ready for anything.
See you in the next episode.